Hi, I'm Mi-Ai Parrish, and Devils in the Details today is with Julie Young and Amy McGrath. We're talking about ASU Prep Academy and ASU Prep Digital. So, Julie, could you tell us a little bit about ASU Prep Academy for people who haven't heard about it, and more about what is America's largest, why America's largest public university is in this space?
Sure. And also, thank you very much for having us today. So ASU Prep Academy is a network of charter schools that was authorized by Arizona State University about 10 years ago, starting with a turnaround school in downtown Phoenix and growing to 12 schools, 11 of which are what we call immersion or brick-and-mortar sites on 7 different campuses. And then the 12th school is ASU Prep Digital, which kind of underpins the entire academy. And when you ask the question about why ASU got into this business, it's always fun to hear our president make the statement that ASU did not get into the charter school business to get into the charter school business. They utilized the vehicle of the charter to get into the K-12 business so that we could create this truly seamless continuum of learning from pre-K through life and actually be in the guts of it and do it as we created these new models for education success.
How did ASU Prep Digital evolve from all of this? You've got not just the one school, many schools. Amy, maybe tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So ASU Prep Digital launched, this is our 3rd school year, so this fall will be our 4th. And what we were doing really well in our physical schools, serving students face-to-face, we wanted to take to a broader audience and realize that 100% graduation rate and post-secondary matriculation inside of a digital platform and in a way where we could collaborate with other schools to serve, as well as be an online full-time opportunity for students around the state, but also around the world to take their full diploma-seeking agenda from home.
What does it look like this fall? We're in a completely different situation.
Well, this fall, we have expanded dramatically. We are probably, I don't know, Amy probably knows the exact number, but in terms of our projections versus what we now are expecting from a year ago, we are kind of off the charts. So we have this summer, we went from expecting about 300 students to now we're serving in June and July about 4,000. So you can extrapolate that out to next year. We're expecting to have 12 to 1,300 full-time students and probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 actual individual enrollments to serve during the year. To put that in perspective, put that in perspective, this year we had 30,000 enrollments. And so the growth trajectory of what we are facing next year is pretty much off the charts. It's definitely a hockey stick.
How do you scale from 30,000 to 100,000? What's gone into that?
You launch a kindergarten through 12th grade program. So we're no longer just a 9th through 12th grade digital platform of ASU's assets, but we've backed that opportunity up back into kindergarten through 12th. And so we're bringing that primarily because the state needs it, and it's in response to bringing access and excellence, as our charter calls us to. But we also are excited to bring those ASU opportunities to students around the country and around the world, because the goal, in addition to building new models and really improving academic performance, is to build pipeline into the university. And so we've done what we call a bit of just curating and bringing into a platform all of ASU's most innovative and best digital assets, and then made meaningful those assets to kindergarten through 12th graders.
How much more access do you think you can provide?
I think what's really awesome about what we get to do is it's unlimited, and that we do have the opportunity to pull from talent from all over the world. So when we select a teacher, we really have the world as our oyster, I like to say. And so finding a highly qualified teacher is something that we can do extremely well. And we have a very high bar for that. And also, we're starting to see an increase in interest, obviously because of the world around us. There is a lot of interest from teachers wanting to teach online and teach virtually. So we also have that advantage right now too.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned you were also helping classroom teachers transition to teaching online as well. And that, what can you tell us about that?
Professional development is certainly a huge need, as so many teachers who have never worked in a remote environment have been thrust into that. And we're reaching another year where there's a lot of uncertainty. So ASU has taken quite really just a thought leadership position for the state to be able to provide training and professional development to upskill and lift up our Arizona school district schools that just need help on whatever tools and whatever platform they're using. So we've trained 900 teachers this summer around the state of Arizona. We're also training teachers all over the country, predominantly in Utah, in California, and in Hawaii, are 3 states that we've realized quite a bit of training over the last several weeks. And this is truly just a way to help perpetuate best practices for what an uncertain year of potential hybrid and remote learning will look like. And it's been a wonderful process of seeing professional learning communities develop to where we know there will be ongoing collaboration between schools around the districts, around the state rather, that have developed relationships through these trainings and can offer each other best practices and tips.
Is the presence of ASU Prep Digital, how do you see that expanding or morphing with from your original intention?
I don't know that it's moving away so much from our original intention.
Mm-hmm.
I think what has happened though is there's been an awakening in terms of the value of online education. Mm-hmm. And the skill set that a teacher needs in order to implement in such a time of crisis.
Amy, how's this changed your mindset about digital learning, or are you just feeling sort of like a smarty pants?
Well, our staff certainly feels stability and a high level of competency in an era of so many teachers feeling like they don't have the skills and the training needed. So it's been a wonderful thing for our teachers to feel that kind of boost and a nice cultural morale boost. But I will say, I think also a headwind that we are up against is what online and remote learning looks like in an unprepared fashion is very different than what it looks like when you strategically design and prepare for that. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're hopeful to be a part of and affect change with as schools are building their resiliency plans and school improvement plans, is that this is something we expect and really design for our learners and around our learners, as opposed to pretending that something like this won't happen again. And so I think the parents that had their kids at home really did a fantastic job nationwide. I've heard so many stories of success, but it's also been a stressful time for many parents. And the better that our school leaders and our schools and teachers can do to prepare learning environments where kids are able to thrive at home will only make that even better, I think, for the families at home.
What else would you like people to know about what you do and what's ahead? Maybe Julie, you could start.
Spent some time yesterday in a conversation about what quality looks like in terms of digital education and distance education. And I think that is a conversation that needs to be at the forefront as we kind of, drive towards August, is what does a quality program look like, whether you are creating it yourself as a district, as a school, or whether you are looking for a partner such as ASU Prep Digital. And, we always talk about the fact that, yes, we're high tech, but we are very high touch. It's kind of rare that we even talk about the technology in terms of when we talk about the educational experience. It's just ubiquitous in our world and in our language. Certainly it has to be there, and the right people have to be talking about that because it drives the program. But the high touch of a program is still important. That teacher that can relate and connect to a student, as opposed to just placing a student in front of a computer and saying, okay, for the next 45 minutes, you're going to work on this application, and then we're going to switch to English. And I think a lot of that happened during the time away, these last 3 months. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of, okay, we're going to do this for this long, then we're shifting, then we're shifting. And so teaching teachers how to have meaningful relationships and conversations and engaging dialogues and engaging lessons in an online fashion, using the tools like Zoom, but not overusing the tools like Zoom, is really, really important. And recognizing that those kids, they thrive on peer interaction. And so figuring out ways to bring them together in groups for meaningful, engaging, structured education time. So I think looking again at the quality of programs, it's not all about the price, and it's not all about the program. It's the whole package and the experience that we are creating for our children.
So, Amy, tell me about what the future of digital learning looks like. Is this is our new reality?
I think so. I think the expectation for learners to have access to high quality assets anywhere in the world, not just in a school building, is the now. And so I think as we continue to build and design models that revolve around the learner and can customize and personalize every learning experience, that used to be something we hoped for in the coming years, but I think the silver lining in this health crisis is that everyone is thinking different, and I'm hoping that we'll see trends of transcending the traditional construct of what school looks like and building around the student, and the future's now.
That's fantastic, and we just continue to innovate in real time, and it's exciting to see. So thank you both, Julie and Amy, for joining me on Devils in the Details today. It was really informative, and it's really exciting. So thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mia.